Good morning, everybody. This is the October meeting of the North Andover Youth and Recreation Services. Before we get moving with the agenda in the meeting, I will read the statement regarding the governor's statement on the open meeting law. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 30A 18, in the governor's March 1st, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the North Andover Youth and Recreation Council will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at www.northandoverma.gov. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so on their televisions by tuning to Comcast Channel 8 or Verizon Channel 26, or online at www.northandovercam.org. No in-person attendance of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Town of North Andover website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Please send comments, topic related, to Demi Marsh at dmarsh@nayouth.com. All public comments will be read during the meeting. So at this time, I will call to order the October meeting of the North Andover Youth and Recreation Services Council. I'll do a quick roll call. John?
I'm here.
Dan?
I think Dan just dropped off.
Okay, we'll go back to Dan. Peter Breen? Larry Allen? Larry, we see you, but we can't hear you.
He waved.
Okay. Holly Williams?
Present.
Kevin Driscoll?
I'm here. Dan's back.
Here.
Welcome back, Dan. Jenna Sadori? Terry Holland? Demi Marsh?
Here.
Rick, I see you. Denise
Here.
Casey, are you on from the town, Denise?
She's jumping on in a few minutes.
Perfect. And Laura Bates. Okay. Before we get started in the new business, I do want to just mention to the council that Laura Bates from the town select board will be our new liaison, replacing Regina. I'm excited about that. Laura has 2 young kids in the elementary school, active in the community, and her kids are active. So she'll be a great liaison and a good representative for us from the select board. Laura, reach out and welcome her to the council as our liaison, and welcome her to the select board. The first order on new business is vote on officers. This is more of a formality. We have a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. We don't need a treasurer as we don't have a budget. I'm currently the chair. Dan, I believe you're currently the vice chair, and Kevin, you're the secretary. If I'll take a motion to appoint new members. I'm happy to stay on as chair. I guess we'll open it up for discussion if anyone else wants to take on the roles, if we want to keep the same roles.
I don't mind staying on as vice chair unless someone else wants it.
Kevin?
I'm fine to keep taking notes,
Okay.
unless anybody else wants to do that.
And I'm happy to serve as chair again unless somebody else wanted to. With that, I'll accept a motion to appoint myself as chair and Dan as vice chair and Kevin as secretary.
I make a motion to keep the appointments as is.
That was John, right?
I second the
Yep.
motion.
Any discussion? Take a,
Did you hear me second, Andy?
yep, Holly seconded
Okay.
it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, we'll accept that as a unanimous vote. The next, we had a question on the budget, and I think it's a great topic to discuss. So, Rick, if you could jump in with a recap of summer financials, and I believe there's some potential CARES Act funding that you had mentioned.
Yes. Morning, everybody. Obviously, at our last meeting, we gave a pretty in-depth recap of the summer, all the successes we had, and then obviously at the end of the meeting, there was some discussion around where we stood financially. As this committee, this council knows, we discussed in the springtime that this was going to be a financial tough year for us in terms of that we would have to hire more kids due to COVID-19 regulations and guidelines, that we would also have to probably spend more money expenses-wise on some equipment and things. Fortunately, Denise Casey in the town, PPE was not a cost for us. It fell under all of the PPE costs that the town had incurred. But obviously, with the additional staff, a summer program, which is usually something that's fairly profitable for us and allows us to hire part-time staff through the rest of the school year, obviously took a hit this year for the reasons I told you, as well as our continued helping people out with scholarships. And this year, obviously, we had, with the pandemic, a number of other people requesting financial assistance due to, being furloughed or losing their job during the pandemic. So we ended up incurring a number of amount of money that obviously we weren't expecting, but we kind of in the spring knew it was going to be there. So when we got the final numbers from the summer, we met with Dee, and there was a possibility of obviously getting reimbursed for some of the things that were COVID-19 related. So I could not get reimbursed for things that would be general running of the summer, but things like the additional staff, other things that we had to buy for the guidelines. So we actually just had a great meeting 2 weeks ago with Denise, our town manager, Melissa Rodriguez, Lynn Savage, our finance director, and Demi and myself. And we actually put forth all of the money that was COVID-19 related. And we were excited that Lynn got back to us about last week that we will be getting reimbursed and have been reimbursed already to our revolving account in the excess of $50,000. That was great. So, the fear of, and we kind of, joked about it during the summer that we don't know how we're necessarily paying for this for the summer. This was great. This is going to obviously help us throughout the year with our revolving account paying for the additional staff, obviously, that we have now with the reopening. So I'm happy to say that with the help of Melissa and Dee, we are in good financial situation from the summer due to the CARES Act money. So with that said, we're in good spots, and we will be continuing with our reopening. CARES money potentially goes to the end of the calendar year. So we will be putting forth a request, and we actually estimated it already, of what we will be expending with extra staffing this fall. And hopefully we'll get obviously reimbursed with that. CARES Act money is not a definite after January 1, and we will continue to roll with that. But Dee and Melissa will keep us up to date on that. So in terms of how this all worked out, it couldn't have worked out any better. I would like to defer to Dee Casey right now if she wants to add anything about the CARES Act money.
Good morning, everyone. Obviously, the town is hoping that the CARES Act will be extended through the spring because obviously, our caseload is increasing. So, we are going to continue to see expenses related to COVID. I'm anticipating through the spring. So, we're obviously hoping for legislative action to take the COVID and the CARES money past January 1st. But obviously we're actively watching it, and if we have anything to report, we will. But I was thrilled that we were able to apply almost every single dollar that Rick asked for to help with the summer, including training. I mean, it was everything we were able to, tie to COVID-19 we could. And I was very happy that we were able to reimburse that much money.
I will add also that, and I do want to touch base on an update with Stevens Pond. We were also reimbursed a few $1,000s because of the additional staff we needed at Stevens Pond, COVID-19 related. If people are correct, we usually have one gate attendant. We had to have two gate attendants on at one time to manage the bathrooms and the sanitizing and things like that. Obviously, we had a rough year at Stevens Pond, but we were able to tag on the hours for the extra person, and that was also reimbursed to us too.
Great. Any questions regarding the budget or the budget moving forward?
Yes, can I ask, why was it a rough year at Stevens Pond, Rick?
So Dan, we had and this had nothing to do with COVID-19. It had everything to do with heat, a slight drought during the summer. We had our worst water quality. So we were actually closed about 6 of the 9 weeks on a regular basis because the water quality did not pass the measurements that we had to have every week. So I'm going to lead into Stevens Pond, which I think is going to tell us a little bit more of our short-term and long-term plan for Stevens Pond. But I don't want to confuse people. That the issues we had at Stevens Pond was not COVID-19 related. It was, for the first time in my 20 years of running the pond, with the exception of the 1 year that we had the major blue-green algae issue. This year was basically a water quality. And, the water treatment could not let out the hatch for us because they were having some drought issues. That would have kind of moved the water around. And obviously, as I get into my conversation here, we had geese issues and a few other things. So we are proactively looking to get Stevens Pond back to where it was 2021. So on top of a pandemic, we had our worst water quality this year also.
Rick, Melissa and I were at the police station yesterday. We had a meeting with the chief, and he is amenable to running the canine in the morning at the pond when we're open to help with the geese problem. So
Yeah,
we have that commitment from them next summer.
absolutely. Let me go into that, Andy, because it does kind of wrap up the summer.
Yep.
So as I said, due to the water quality, we had a rough summer. Remember, even when we were closed, we had to staff the pond because the beach was still open, even though you couldn't use the water. So there is a long-term problem that myself and Peter Breen have been speaking about for probably over 10 years now, in the fact that, you do have a pond which has major pond issues. Most ponds in the Commonwealth and even in New Hampshire do have issues as the summer goes along. We have been one of the lucky ones in the past. This year we weren't. Andover, in comparison, closed 1 day this summer. Methuen, which usually closes a lot more than us, don't think closed at all this summer. So it was related more to our issue, and it has a lot to do with the geese. It has to do with not water flow. So the first thing that Melissa took on, and it's something that Pete has been, preaching about for a decade now, is that we need to get an aerator for the pond. And when I say an aerator, if you don't know what one is, think of like at Disney World with the ponds they have there, and they have this thing that actually moves the water. And this is something that Pete's been pretty outspoken about. So Melissa actually purchased it during the summer. We have it in hand now. This aerator, we had a meeting this week on the pond, and John Borgesi and DPW have that scheduled to be installed this October. We obviously have to get power to the building, out to the aerator. This aerator will help move water through, and which will help a lot of the areas we have on that. That's going to help. Obviously, it's not going to be the cure-all, because on top of that, we have a major, major geese problem. John Hertig would probably know this better than anybody. If you drive by Stevens Pond at 6:30 in the morning, there is a flock of geese like you've never seen before. So goose droppings obviously affect the water quality. So we are looking at a variety of, I should say, interesting attacks on this. And Dee just brought up, Andover has had success with what they call a pond dog, which they actually have a dog, I guess that's connected with the pond that basically runs the pond, early in the morning and everything else. We were going to go over to John Hertig's house and borrow his dog if he had one, but we are working with the police department, as Dee said, and our new canine dog by Officer Primus is something that they would be looking at that. We also, Melissa has some other things that she's been looking at that actually can help with geese control. One of them is actually called Geese Go Away or whatever. So my point is we're going to be very proactive in addressing this issue with the water quality, whether it's through geese, whether it's through, basically stagnant water. That's what the aerator helps. And the third thing is that people don't understand is the torrential downpours help and hurt. Okay, so a torrential downpour moves some water, but it also moves all the water from the street, and sediment goes into the pond. So it's a combination of a lot of different things. My message to Melissa D and DPW was in, advocating for our residents that are basically saying, how committed is the town to continue Stevens Pond as what I've always called one of the jewels of North Andover as a bathing beach. Melissa and Dee are fully committed to continuing the 75-year history of Stevens Pond. We just now need to deal with a lot of these issues. I'm ecstatic that we're actually dealing with it, 10 months before we open, and that aerator will be up in the fall. We will work on the big geese issue. So I actually think we're going to be in a really good position. We are going to message this. I think me and Dee are going out on a rowboat and show people the aerator when it goes in. So we will make sure of that. The other thing about Stevens Pond, we're working very closely with Laurie Burzlav on purchasing and the DPW. This is playground year for us. We were supposed to do the playground in the spring and then the pandemic hit. We are putting it, we're doing some design work on it now. We're hoping to go through Concom and all the, permitting that we have to do for the playground this fall, with possible construction of the playground late fall, but more realistically, that'll probably go in the spring. And for John, who's interested in this, it will actually be relocated over to the grass area, which will be less site work that we have to do, and removal of trees won't be the issue that we had. So we are excited about a lot of things that are happening. With the grant for the playground, it's also going to allow us to purchase things like permanent picnic tables, a new dock, and things like that. So as bad as 2020 was at the pond, I think 2021 is going to be phenomenal. I applaud the community that stood by us during the summer. We did have to give close to $9,000 in reimbursements for people that obviously wanted to be reimbursed for non-use. The majority of people said, we get it, it's a pond, and didn't ask for a reimbursement. And just with 2020, everyone just wanted to kind of rally around us. So I applaud the residents who supported us. My staff, this is tough. Kelly Ray, the director, this is a passion for her. So it's for her to see, what it was like the summer was tough. But we're looking for better days. 2021, Stevens Pond's going to be awesome. And John, that playground will be done.
Awesome. And I know there's been, I'd say, significant investment in the pond in the last couple of years. We've purchased new equipment, new toys, new things. So the commitment, Rick, I would reiterate the commitment from this board, this organization, Holly's board, and the town is there, and that's really exciting because it is a great attribute for our kids and our residents. Any questions?
I do want to say, Andy, the frustration from a few parents when they asked the comment of, well, how committed we are. I think that was out of frustration. I think people have known. And when I first started doing this, remember that building, the old building that was there, was held together by duct tape. Things were not good. And through the help and the commitment of the town, and quite frankly, the Joseph N. Herman Youth Center, purchasing the original playground, purchasing a lot of the equipment. I think people have seen that, and I think that's why a lot of people were really supporting us despite everything. And I think we're going to be back next year. I'm very optimistic about that. And one of the reasons that Dee and I called this Stevens Pond meeting in September was to show the community, hey, we're not going to wait till next June. We're going to get this done, and it's going to be good. So I'm very optimistic on that. Obviously, if any residents are listening right now that have questions about the pond, feel free to call me at the youth center. I'd be more than happy to talk about it.
Awesome. Any questions related to the pond? Rick, if we can move into the fall reopening rollout. I know you've been open for some time now. If you can give us an overview of that opening and how things have gone since we've reopened.
Absolutely. So obviously at our last meeting, we were basically talking about the summer and the hope of opening in the fall. Melissa and Dee, along with the health department, Brian LaGlass and Carolyn Ibbotson, worked with us in the month of August to approve a plan to reopen. First parts of the reopening were we had to take a look at changing our youth center philosophy. And probably Pete Breen on this call is the only one, and Terry probably, that can remember this. Youth Center was built to be a safe place for kids to just come and go when they wanted to do, a drop-in center. And obviously that is not conducive to a global pandemic. So similar to the summer, for us to get approval to open, we had to be able to look at cohorts. And again, the famous word cohorts. So in the cohorts in the summer, we worked that out really well. The only way to do cohorts for a reopening would be to be program-based. So no longer can people just show up at the youth center when they want to show up. They have to sign up ahead of time for that program. And we put together a phenomenal, we have over 50 programs we're running this fall. The goal was to offer something for everybody. And we have everything from recreation, support, social, adventure. And you can just go to our website or even follow us on social media every day. You'll see everything that we're actually doing. So people rallied around this. We had no complaint of having to change our philosophy because people wanted something, and this is better than nothing. My hope is as we get a vaccine and treatments, and I don't see that affecting us till probably fall 21. So for this school year, this is who we are. I think it's going to be great. It's extremely structured compared to before. Everything's health driven, just like the summer. Guidelines, masks, sanitation, social distancing. We're using the building outside a lot. I don't know if you saw my quick video the other day, the staged Rick getting drenched with the hose. Weather will not be a question for us. We are going to be outside in the weather. Thanks to TD Bank, every kid's going to be outfitted in a nice poncho if the weather's not great. So we have a little bit of everything. We're in our second week right now. Kids are really buying into it. The guidelines have not been an issue. The masks, once again, is not an issue. And we're having a really good time. We have in the first week and a half already added 6 new programs. We are going to continue to add programs. We are going by terms. So this is called the fall term. This will go up until December. The winter term will start right after January 1, and then we will have our spring term after that. And it's just been really good on that. So in terms of the building, lots of changes. Thanks to Landmark Finish, we now have all of our glass/plexiglass safety guards at the front desk right now. You would not recognize the front desk. Our computer room, our academic room, we turned the room that you guys meet in the conference room is now an academic room with cubicles with plexiglass. We have one-way directional, go up one hallway, come down the other hallway, exit doors. We have our health screenings that Demi does a phenomenal job. Every kid coming that day has to have a health screening. I also get to play a medical doctor in the afternoon where we're checking everybody's temperature as a second guess, because remember, the kids are coming to us in the afternoon. We're in the summer. They came to us right after the health survey was given. So that's been going really well. We have a little act with the kids that if they can guess their temperature correct, they get a free drink. And I've only had to give out 11 free drinks in a week, but kids really kind of like that act too. So in terms of our staff, we've had to hire a few more high school kids. We have about 9 or 10 kids a day working for us, which is usually around 6 or 7 kids a day, just because we got to spread out more. We got to be able to do it. The last thing I want to say about it is we are looking at the youth center as a campus, not a building. So we have an 18,000 square foot building, but we're really a 4.8 acre campus. So when we are open from basically, 1:30 until 8 o'clock at night, no one is allowed on our campus unless they're affiliated with our program, staff, or kids. So that includes the outdoor basketball court, street hockey rink, all of our games on the side of the building by the parking lot, and the entire softball field. We have purchased and we will be having 2 tents put up there. They're supposed to come second week of October. Those will be extra activity areas. And if we do get hit with a shower or something, the kids will be able to go under the tent. So that is our campus. I think we have annoyed some of the people in the Drummond playground because we are not open for public bathrooms. I wish I do a friendly reminder once a week. It is a bit of an issue. One woman yesterday threatened to pee on our building if we didn't let her kid use the building. So we're addressing some of those issues. And obviously we did not let him pee on our building. But it is a bit of an issue, but this is a town decision. Melissa does not want the public bathrooms open. And so our bathrooms in the building are open for our members and our staff. But the campus is ours. We have asked people not to come on the campus, and most people have been really good. We've also asked parents, don't come on the campus. Drop your kid off in the parking lot, pick your kid up in the parking lot. Do what they usually do anyways. They don't get out of the car much to come in. They call the front desk and have their kids sent out, and we do that. Mostly when the programs are over, staff takes the group of kids that are in the cohort to an area where the parents pick them up. Now remember, the reason we have the programs is that's a cohort. So yesterday was street hockey as a cohort, flag football as a cohort, open gyms a cohort, gaming rooms a cohort, academics and support as a game cohort. And we're actually able to keep those kids in those cohorts the whole time, so there's no mixing. So to give the health department, they're very excited of our tracing plan once again. I honestly believe, just like the school department, we are going to have some COVID-19 cases. And for us to think we're never going to have one is not really smart thinking. We will be able to track any kid that was here and who has to be quarantined as close contact. So overall, I'm ecstatic about the start of the year. We're finishing up our second week. We are going to continue to PR and show you what we're doing. But I think people should be very proud. Once again, ourselves and Andover Youth Services, Milford Youth Center, some of the only ones that are really doing what we're doing. It's pretty impressive. So kudos to my staff, obviously led by Demi, and all the kids working for us. And the last thing I'll say is we were honored by the Mass State Senate, Diana DeZoglio, and Senator Tarr had a presentation for our successful summer. We have been reached out by Christina Minicucci regarding the House of Representatives is also recognizing us. And we have been also getting feedback from a number of the state agencies wanting to know. I have been contacted by a winter sports reopening committee wanting to hear about what we had successes in the summer. So I think we're getting recognized for the great work we did this summer and the stuff that we're continuing to do in the fall. So it's not the youth center that I was involved in designing in the 90s, but it's better than nothing and it's going real well. And my hope is at some point in time, we will be back to the old, come down and drop in and hang out, that type of thing.
Yeah, congratulations, Rick. And I think it's worth noting that you've really set the tone and been a leader for other communities around the Commonwealth and how you've operated your summer fun and how we are now operating and offering programs in the fall and planning throughout the year. Anyone that's been on this board for any amount of years knows that we continue to be or stress the importance of the social and emotional development. And right now, it is extremely important. So thank you to you and all your staff for being leaders across the Commonwealth and the region. Any questions on the reopening plan? Next item on the agenda is our holiday drive. Rick, are you going to take that, or Demi, you going to step in on that?
Yeah, I'll step in if Dem wants to add anything else. This is just to give you a heads up that we are not going to let the pandemic stop us from a, almost 30-year history of providing services during the holidays of Thanksgiving and obviously the Christmas holiday. We have a very good plan for our Thanksgiving. Molly Malandrino, who's been doing it for 7 years now, along with support services coordinator Asia Valdez, are already reconnecting with the schools. Obviously, our fair is with school in a hybrid model. Will we still, excuse me, still have the connections with the schools to be able to provide some of that stuff? We're already heard from the Kittredge School that they're back in, so they'll be looking at that. Terry Holland is helping us procure turkeys, because I didn't know this. Terry called me, and I guess there'll be a turkey shortage this year because of the whole pandemic in terms of restaurants not being like they used to be and open and that type of thing. So he's helping us procure that. The Boosters Club has already contributed $400 towards the turkeys. So we are in the process right now of making sure we can provide everything we want. And they're also at the same time reaching out through the school system and through our contacts in town of what families are going to need help this year for Thanksgiving. So we're right on track of that. There will be one difference this year due to the pandemic, is we will not be delivering, excuse me, the turkey dinners. We are actually going to have a pickup day, which will be the Sunday before Thanksgiving, where folks will be able to come by while we're closed and pick up their Thanksgiving dinner. Anybody, obviously, that has difficulty in doing that, we will make sure they get their Thanksgiving dinner. At the end of this month, in October, mid to end of October, we will start working, obviously, on the massive holiday Christmas drive. But we're really on top of that. It is my absolute adamancy that we continue and make sure Thanksgiving and the holiday drive happen despite everything that's going on. I also do believe, because of the pandemic, we are going to have more of a need this year than we've ever had. So to close the doors and say, see you in, the late fall of 2021 is unacceptable to me. This town will step up. It always does step up. Your council in particular has always stepped up for those holiday drives. So it's going to happen. I just want to keep you all in the know of what's going on with that. But I have an amazing two people in Molly and Asia that will make this happen. And we will celebrate Thanksgiving and the holidays despite crazy year 2020 has been.
Awesome. And Rick, I know you're working with the schools to identify families in need for Thanksgiving. If there are families that need assistance, is there a mechanism for them to reach out directly to the youth center?
So we talked about this yesterday. So just so this committee knows, we have certain people in town that are kind of like our point people. Perfect example, at Woodridge Homes, it's Cindy Ward, who's been almost 30 years being the point person for us. Each one of the schools, it's either the nurse or the guidance counselor that's kind of the point person. But we always know that even those people might miss people. So what they should do, and we're going to put this out on social media, any family that wants to know more about it or needs it and is not necessarily connected with the people I just said, they will be calling Asia Valdez directly here at the youth center. We will take down all the information. We will obviously just do a quick background check that this is something that definitely needs to be done, and then we'll take care of it. So we're going to exhaust every possibility to make sure the community can't say, I didn't know anything about that.
Awesome. And then on the flip side of that, if there are families who, both parents are still working, they've received stimulus money, is there a mechanism to accept donations if community members want to donate?
So we're going to hold off on that yet, but yes. So we have with the Thanksgiving, it's a tremendous relationship we have with like the Kittredge School, the Trinitarian Church, Franklin School, where they actually, their classrooms bundle like the vegetables, the potatoes, all that stuff. What we're looking at is if we do the fact that school is very different this year, and God forbid, because we're a red community right now, if the schools were at some point to close, if we would have missed that piece of it, we would definitely be putting it out. And as I've told Molly and Demi and Asia, this is the year that I think I would just have to put a roll call out and people would be bringing by whatever we need. So I don't want to have too much stuff, Andy. So I'm using
Yep.
that more as, let's see where we are with our traditional partners, as we call them. And if the partners can't help us up because of the situation we're in this year, then we'll send it out. And I've already received word from people saying, hey, you guys, what you did this summer is amazing. Anything I can help, whether it's buying things or donations or whatever. So we'll keep you and the community update on that. I want to kind of keep this the same process we always have and see if we can just continue with the way we've done since 1990. But if we get stuck, I've always said this community will step up.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments related to the holiday giving drives? I'm sure we'll talk more about that as we move into the holidays. At this point, we are at the end of the agenda. Any items that we've missed or any questions as we reflect back? I think it is important. Typically, as a council, we meet I believe it's the last Thursday of every month. Looking at the schedule, we've got October 29th, November, depending on the timing of Thanksgiving and the agenda. Sometimes we do the week before Thanksgiving. We typically discuss that during our October meeting. December, probably before the holiday week, which would be December 17th, January 28th, February 25th, March 25th, April 29th, and May 7th, we would typically close out the year. I'll email that schedule out to everybody. The information that I'm receiving in terms of, what is the meeting going to look like for the foreseeable future, it will be virtual. I believe the majority of all meetings for councils like ours will be virtual at least through the end of the year, and my expectation would be into the new year as well. So with that, I would accept a motion.
So one of the things, hang on a second, one of the things, Andy, is so talking to Lori Bursliff, just to get clarification, obviously, we're one of the few departments, as Dee knows, we've actually been full force back here since May 15th. We do have the capabilities to have a live meeting with this committee because it's not that big, but because it's a public meeting and the public could come to it, we can't do that. So Lori's latest thing to me was plan on no in-person council meetings, probably for the entire school year. Obviously, if she tells me something differently in the spring, that'll be the greatest news. But I think, as you said, I think we're going to have to continue doing a virtual meeting like this. I did forget one thing, Andy, in terms of the Joseph N. Herman Youth Centers committees, which obviously Holly sits on that board. They will be starting to plan my next year proposal. So we will be working on the proposal this fall, like we did last fall. And our original plan was what we were going to be asking for this year. Were we going to need Joseph N. Herman to kind of help us with, some of the stuff, expenses we had during the summer? And obviously, I think we answered that today. We're not going to do that. So we'll be going ahead with a full grant request, which will coincide with Holly's event, hopefully next spring, and the expenditure of that grant starting in the summer. So this board, if you remember correctly, must approve requests that Demi and I will put forward. So through the course of the fall, look that we'll have to spend one of our meetings discussing that. We're a little behind schedule on that. I expect that to be the November meeting, but I'll be in touch with you on that.
Okay. So for the board's planning purposes, and again, I'll email these dates out, we will likely meet November, the week prior to Thanksgiving. Awesome. With that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn. Larry, I see you have visually have made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Perfect. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Awesome. Meeting's adjourned at 8:57. Everyone have a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy. I do want to thank NACAM again. Have a great day, everybody.